All right, homeboys. This is bros and hoes. This is going to get a little bit uh, complex, but it's about time I covered this. So, what you see before you is a crap storm of pots, flower pots. Now, let me start this from the top. Uh, what I originally designed this for was as a substitute that I could print on the fly for these little guys. And these were just pots that I bought a bunch of from Lowe's way back. Now, I modeled this more or less to replace that existing pot, right? So it's got more or less the same volume. This here was printed out of PLA, old, very old PLA from who is it? Hatchbox. It's a spool I got like years and years ago from Amazon for Hatchbox PLA for my Robo 3DR1 Plus, my first and before that, or up till this point, only printer that I've ever had. So 8 years I milked out of that printer. Anyway, more recently, last year, just like Christmas of last year, I designed this basic twisty pot and also a straight version, which is not here at the moment. But yeah, it's a, what, 12-sided? Am I right? Yeah, 12-sided simple polygon pot with a helical twist. And now, after I printed that on the Robo 3D, then, of course, ultimately I got the Qidi Plus 4 recently, just within the last month. And I went on a crazy spree of reprinting old designs, that being one of them, older designs. And the first that I printed on that machine of these pots, oh, nice, dirt everywhere, was this. Now, this was eSun, regular eSun Clear Pet G. I printed it at 300 millimeters per second, and you can see what happened. It went milky white, like frosted glass. And in another video, I said, yeah, it's pretty in its own way, but it's not even remotely clear. So then, after that, oh, it is here. Okay, I forgot I had it down inside. This is the straight version. This is Flashforge Nebula Purple PLA. Very pretty. That's the straight non-twisted version of the same pot design. Anyway, moving on. The next thing I did was I got some, was it? Oh, Alexa. Alexa, stop. She can't hear me. Babbling like an idiot out there. Anyway, so the next thing I did was I got some of this Elegoo Rapid Pet G. And I wanted to see how that would stand up to the same kind of design, the same kind of speed and everything, and that was the result. So yeah, very nice, right? Am I thinking straight? I think so. No. I think this one... Yeah, okay, I am thinking straight. I had to think it was that, actually. But it was, yeah. That was the Elegoo Rapid Pet G. I don't take notes, so I'm a scattered mess. And same basic thing, 300 millimeters per second on both. And you can see what a huge difference it makes. It comes off like very near transparent. But when the light hits it just right, you get these metal sort of reflections. And there are like air gaps in there, and that causes it to reflect rather than to transmit light. Now, the very next day, I printed this one. This one was printed in Classic Wall, in Orca Slicer. This one was printed in Arachne. And the reason I did that is because if you look close, you can see these weird hash marks, triangular hash marks. That's from Gap Infill. Now, Arachne wall generator does not do that. Arachne is a variable line thickness, so it's essentially gap fill all the time. And the point being, it always goes in the same direction. These hash marks showed up because gap infill on the classic wall generator reverses direction for just the gap fill, causing a difference in the layers, and that ends up as a visible scar, if you will, inside the model's walls. Arachne does not do that, but then notice this, where it failed miserably. At first I thought, ooh, Arachne's bad. But no, what did that was the failure of my nozzle, which you can see up on YouTube as well, under Nozzlepocalypse, where I detailed what happened to the nozzle, why I think it happened, and I think this was a bit of ceramic fragment got down into the nozzle and jammed it up for a short period, and then it resumed okay somehow on its own while I was asleep. But it did kind of, the point of the thing was to get rid of those hash marks in there, and it did work. So that led further down the road after I got my new nozzle and I got the printer working right again. That led further down the road to me wanting to explore more. So I did this guy, this really big pot. This was done in Creality Hyper Series PETG. It's the same thing. It's fast printing PETG filament, but two different manufacturers, right? So you can see, it's got the same metallic highlights on the boundaries between facets, the corner areas, same thing. This here, I want to cover this really quickly. How I did this was I printed just the Night Runner 417 in blue PETG, just regular Eson crappy old blue PETG. Printed that on the bed, lifted up the little starter mark that the printer always makes, got rid of that after the print laid down, and this is a single layer, okay? And what you have to do is you have to mirror it. You have to print it backwards on the bed, make sure that it's centered where the pot's going to be, and then you just change your filament and print over to the top of it, and it becomes embedded in the bottom. Presto. Neat and sweet. And I did that same thing on these two. Okay, so I went and printed this in Creality Hyper Series PETG, and then that made me think, but what's the difference between the two? And you can already kind of see the difference. It's subtle, but it's there. Let me show you this. Because then what I did is I printed one of the small ones, like this guy, one of the small ones, original scale, in Creality Hyper Series, and I got this. See that right there, Creality Hyper Series PETG, and it resulted in this. And that's super pretty, but it's not really very transparent, and it does look just a bit cloudy. Just a tiny bit. So I thought, yeah, but how do I even really know? I need a second one to compare it to in Elegoo Rapid PETG. Now these were done in the same exact settings. No, nothing changed here. Just the filament. Very important. Look closely at this. Can log that finish in your mind, and then compare it to this. And you can see there's a very slight difference in the quality of not only the transparency, but the reflection. It's very slightly, the Elegoo is very slightly more brilliant, more crystal, if you will, than the Creality. It's such a subtle difference that you're gonna have to decide if it really matters to you based on what you're spending. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and mind you, I'm not affiliated with either of these two fools, I couldn't care less what they think of my videos, what they think of my comments. I'm not getting anything out of them. And because of that, I'll backstab them, either one or both at the same time, in a heartbeat. Don't matter to me. I got nothing to lose. So my no gain is your gain. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, these guys are more expensive than Elegoo. Elegoo's quite cheap, quite affordable. Creality's not terrible, but I think you save like maybe $1, maybe $2 by going to the Elegoo. And given that the quality is so similar, but Elegoo appears to have a slight edge on them, at least with the clear stuff, and they both print wicked fast. I mean, I've had the Elegoo all the way up to 600, and the only problem was induced vibration in the print. I have no reason to believe that Creality would act any different at 600. There's a little bit of an idea how it does for transparency. See, like I say, real close. But the Elegoo has a slight edge. Now, I don't know if you could maybe print the Creality hotter. These are both printed at 260 Celsius. Maybe you could print the Creality hotter at like 265 or even 270 and equalize them. I don't know. But just straight out of the thing, print for print, setting for setting, that's what you get right there. Take that and flip it, and you can see just a little bit brighter, right? Just a little bit. It's very subtle. Anyway, thought you'd find that interesting. So this one, back to this massive thing. This was intended to max out the bed. I wanted to use up at least the full XY of the print area. I didn't go bothering with, maxing out the height. This is only like 7 point something inches tall. Because it's not a freaking paint bucket, it's a flower pot. And maxing out the height of it made it look ridiculous, so I went with maximum XY, but not maximum Z. There was no reason to, and besides, this used over half a kilogram of filament just doing this. This was a direct scale up of this guy, not height-wise, not uniform, I mean, not chained scaling. This was 7 instead of 5 or whatever this is, high, 7 inches high. But the main scaling, the main increase was to like 270 from edge to edge millimeters in the X and Y. And what that did, of course, is it made all the walls thicker too, and I didn't bother scaling that back with XY compensation. Just wanted it done. I didn't want to screw with it any further, so I just printed it and let it go. 300 millimeters per second, took about 7.5 hours. Not bad at all for something so big. This is well over a gallon worth of dirt volume for this pot. Massive. If I were going to do it again, I would have took my time and thinned out these walls a little bit, and also the inside bottom, to save on filament a little bit. It's pretty bad when one print takes half of a new spool. Actually, more than half. So I would have wanted to thin it out to where you could at least get 2 full ones out of one spool. And preferably more than that. But yeah, it's beautiful. And as heavy as it is, as heavy as I printed it, dude, you could throw this at a freaking moving bus and I doubt it would matter. This thing is really strong, really tough. It will last the ages. But yeah, so there you go. There's a bunch of babble about all of that. I really like the look of this. The Flash Forge Burnt Titanium and Nebula Purple are beautiful filaments. They really are. If you're doing decorative, you can't go wrong there. The Burnt Titanium's absolutely glorious. Again, not affiliated. I do not affiliate. Not unless the money's really good. And it ain't, so there you go. Yeah, what else to say? I don't know. I mean, there it all is. So, in summary, both of these two filaments are great, but there is a slight edge in terms of visual quality coming out of Elegoo. Whether that matters to you or not, that's up to you. I ain't here to tell you what to do. I don't make the news, I just report it. And aside of that, the printer's working beautifully again. I'm very happy to have it back. And I've been very busy designing and printing, like a lot of things. And these pots, I've already got all the files arranged for upload to Thingiverse. I just need to commit. And then you can have them too. What's going up there is the originals with no holes that you have to drill yourself if you want holes in them. That's your call. And the same thing but with holes already modeled in, so you don't have to. And then, you want to go doing, like, changing the aspect of them in scaling or thinning or thickening both the walls and the holes, which you can do in Orca Slicer. That's your call. You go for it. Other than that, that will be up there, and I'll put the link in the description. Why not, when I get it done. Thanks for watching. More to come. Definitely more to come. See you then and there. Bye for now.